Today, the topic of our discussion is syncretism in Hinduism and Islam. The objective behind today's discussion is to give you an understanding of the roots of syncretic tradition in India, the evolution of syncretism in India through the Bhakti and the Sufi movement. For the convenience of our analysis, I have divided the entire discussion into a number of segments. We would start off with the concept of syncretism. Then we would be moving on to the origin and evolution of syncretic tradition in India. Then we would move on to the different strands of syncretism, primarily the Bhakti movement and the Sufi movement in India, to understand the concept of unity and diversity in India. Now, how did the syncretic tradition develop in India? India, for ages, has been a pluralistic society. In fact, pluralism has been a way of life for the Indians. Pluralism is based on the belief of the coexistence and mutuality of various religions and the intermingling of cultures and beliefs. The diversity of religion results in syncretism, wherein religious practices and beliefs often influence and shape each other such that new belief systems and practices emerge. This is the essence of the idea of unity in diversity. We acknowledge and appreciate the diverse traditions of Indian culture. What is syncretism? Syncretism refers to an amalgamation of two or more cultural traditions. It is a synthesis of different religions and cultural forms and traditions. Religion in India is influenced by diversity of beliefs and practices. The essence of syncretism lies in the acceptance of a common philosophical thread that unites diverse faiths, cultures, and traditions. Students, the underlying philosophy of all religions are same. It is love, respect, and truth. And this is the basic foundation of syncretic culture in India. Now, how did syncretism evolve in India? We would try to understand the reasons behind the evolution of syncretic tradition in India. Basically, there are 5 reasons which can be attributed behind the development of syncretic tradition. 1. Sharing of regional space and cultural traits. 2nd, mysticism. 3rd, anthropomorphism of Hindu religion. 4th, harmonization of orthogenetic and heterogenic elements in Hinduism and Islam. And finally, the egalitarian view of life as it unfolded during the Bhakti and the Sufi movement. The first reason behind the rise of syncretic tradition in India is sharing of common cultural traits. The sharing of space, regional ethos, cultural traits cut across religious and sectarian differences and bind the local people together. In fact, it was an attempt to remove the rigidities of both Hinduism and Islam and initiate a new era of tolerance and accommodation where more and more people could join in the pursuit of reaching the divine. The most important factor shaping the formation of syncretic tradition in India is the Indo-Aryan cultural tradition and the Indo-Islamic cultural tradition. And this confluence led to the rise of a syncretic tradition in India. Coming to the second reason behind the evolution of syncretism, and that is mysticism. Mysticism as an idea refers to the attitude of mind, which involves a direct, immediate, intuitive apprehension of God. It signifies the highest attitude of which man is capable, which is contemplation of God, and his dissemination in society and world. It is the result of man's highest aspiration as an integral personality satisfying the eternal values of life like truth, goodness, beauty, love. Mysticism reflects eternal truth as the quest for ultimate knowledge of God. In India, mysticism is associated with the Sufis and the Bhaktas. This was a new movement for a new life, a renaissance in the thought of Indian masses. It was an attempt to remove the rigidities associated with the religions and to initiate a new era of tolerance, accommodation, and doing away with the religious discrimination and ensuring that all can attain the divine, all can reach the divine. The third reason is anthropomorphism. This refers to the cult of sense where religion shapes syncretic culture. In fact, it is interesting to note that the saints belonging to Hinduism and Islam preached the philosophy of life, which was close to social ethics and philosophical problems of the poor, marginalized, and it was found that these problems of the poor people were common to both Hinduism and Islam. The Sufi and the Bhakti movement blurred the differences between two religions so much that it was very common till recently to have a Sadguru or a Peer having a common following of both Hindus and Muslims. And no Peer or Sadguru did ever force a Hindu or Muslim to give up his or her religion for any other. In fact, the medieval age was a period when Sufi and Bhakti thought and practice blended and beautifully coalesced at many points. Let us first start with syncretic tradition in Hinduism. Syncretism in India has a distinct past rooted in the diversified nature of Hinduism with gods and deities and different sects. The advent of Jainism and Buddhism and the various faith of the masses. The real syncretic tradition was introduced in Hinduism through the proponents of the Bhakti movement. The Bhakti movement aimed at promoting eclectic faiths and detachment from worldly ties. They preached the value of love and divinity. Let us start with the Bhakti movement. The term Bhakti refers to devotion. It emphasizes the union of individual with God. The movement originated in South India and gradually spread to North India. The Nayanmaras, who worshipped Shiva, and the Alwars, the worshippers of Vishnu, preached the idea of bhakti. They carried the message of love and devotion to various parts of South India. In North India, the saints preached through devotional songs and principles of love, devotion, divinity, and tolerance. The essence of Bhakti cult was monotheism. They emphasized on equality between man and man, disregarded the caste system, and attacked institutionalized religion. They all symbolized the one and the eternal, the one path of reaching the divine. In fact, this was said to be a glorious period of Hindu revivalism through the teachings of Ramanand, Kabir, Mirabai, Guru Nanak, Chaitanya. Now coming to the factors which led to the rise of Bhakti movement in India. First, the discriminatory caste system and the ill treatment meted out to the lower and poor classes alienated the lower caste from Hinduism. The teachings of the Bhakti proponents in terms of equality, love, devotion appealed to these lower castes. Secondly, the elaborate rituals and ceremonies associated with Brahmanism, Hinduism, was disliked by the common man. The Bhakti saints discarded elaborate rituals and preached devotion to one God, and that attracted the common man. Thirdly, the simplicity of language, the simple language used by the saints to preach, inspired the common people. Finally, the inner vitality of Hindu religion resulted in an intellectual and moral revival of Hinduism, making Bhakti a much sought after and a social reform process. Now, within the Bhakti tradition, there were two strands, the Saguna and the Nirguna strand. Now, this division was based on the conceptualization of the divine. Those poet saints who composed verses extolling God with a form were the Saguna. And those who extolled God without a form were the Nirguna Bhaktas. Now let us try to understand the Shaguna Bhaktas in a detailed manner. Now, those worshipping the Shaguna school actually believed in the manifestation of the divine, the trilogy of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. This school of thought remained committed to the scriptural authority of the Vedas and emphasized the need for a human guru as a religious mediator between God and man. The conformist saints like Ramanand, Chaitanya espoused the doctrine of incarnation and worshipped the Shaguna Ram and Krishna respectively. Now the Nirguna Bhaktas, they did not believe in any form to reach the divine. They worshipped the divine being who remains unmanifested, formless, which is Nirakar, and extended beyond the three gunas and hence was called Nirguna. The supreme being was conceived as Ishwar, the personal and purified spiritual aspect of God, beyond all names and forms, and to be apprehended only by inner mystical experience. This radical and non-conformist group, headed by Kabir, Guru Nanak, created a religious school which rejected the scriptural authority of the Vedas and every form of idol worship. They also rejected institutionalized rites and rituals and fought against social discrimination and strove to bring about Hindu-Muslim reconciliation. Now, let us try to understand how Bhakti movement was influenced, spread by the local language. How did local language play a leading role in the spreading of the Bhakti movement? What made Bhakti movement popular was the use of the language of the masses. An effective method for spreading Bhakti ideology was the use of local languages. The Bhakti saints composed verses in the language of the people. They translated Sanskrit works to make it understandable to a wider audience. For example, we find Gyandev writing in Marathi, Kabir, Surdas, Tulsidas writing in Hindi, Shankar Dev popularizing Assamese, Chaitanya and Chandidas spreading the message in Bengali, Mirabai in Hindi and Rajasthani. In addition, devotional poetry was composed in Kashmiri, Telugu, Kannada, Oriya, Malayalam, Maithili and Gujarati. So we find local language became a vehicle for the spread of the Sufi movement. Now we move on to Bhakti movement and how did it bring about social reform. As I had already said that the Bhakti saints did not believe in caste-based discrimination and believed that salvation can be achieved by one and all. They made no distinction between caste, religion, creed. They themselves, in fact, came from diverse backgrounds. For example, Ramananda, whose disciples included Hindus and Muslims, came from a conservative Brahman family. His disciple Kabir was a weaver. Guru Nanak was a village accountant's son, and Namdev was a tailor. So they came from diverse backgrounds and initiated a process of reforming the caste-based Brahmanical society. They emphasized on equality between man and woman, disregarded the caste system, and attacked institutionalized religion. Coming to the features of the Bhakti movement. 1. God is one. Love and devotion is the way to attain God and divinity. All men are equal regardless of caste, creed, and religion. Purity of heart and practices of virtues like truth, goodness, kindness, and charity is the essence of the Bhakti movement. Finally, Bhakti denounced caste-based and class-based discrimination. After an analysis of the Bhakti movement, let us come to the second strand of syncretic culture in India, Sufism. The 13th and 14th centuries saw the emergence and growth of the Sufi movement in India. Sufism is defined as a theory, a doctrine that considers reason to be incapable of discovering or realizing the nature of ultimate truth, whatever be the nature and form of the ultimate truth, but at the same time believes that everybody can attain that ultimate truth. Sufism is based on the belief that each human being is in unity with God. It does not mean complete renunciation or denial of the social value of life. Rather, it is a pathway to establish an intimate relationship with the Almighty, in whatever form one feels comfortable. For the Sufis, every religion considers the divine as all merciful. The most notable Sufi saints say Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti of Rajasthan, Sheikh Fariduddin, Sheikh Bahaduddin, and Sheikh Latif played an integral role in ensuring that Sufism spread in the various parts of the country. The Sufi poet, we are aware, Amir Khusro, was a champion of composite culture. In fact, his poems, dohas, ghazals are very, very popular. Coming to the features of Sufism. Sufism derives its principles from Islam. Although the Sufi saints seek inner purity, but the orthodox Muslims depend upon external conduct and blind observance of religious faiths, which was denounced by the Sufis. Sufism believes in eternal love and universal brotherhood. Sufism believes that love and devotion are the only means of attaining God. They attached a great deal of importance to the common man being a part of this entire journey of attaining the Almighty. They also believe that purity of heart and devotion is more important than any other ritual or ceremony. Sufism, like the Bhakti movement, discarded the caste system. Now, how did Sufism play an important role in Indian medieval culture? Sufism brought about a new liberal outlook into Islam. It did away with the rigidities of Islamic way of life. It also laid the foundation for a liberal movement in the 15th century. Now, what is the significance of the Bhakti and the Sufi movement in India? The Bhakti movement aimed at promoting eclectic faiths and detachment from worldly ties, but it does not mean renunciation or complete abstinence from social life. The same philosophical and spiritual moorings can be found in Sufism. The two movements brought about a new form of religious expression amongst the Muslims as well as the Hindus. The Sufis were mystics who called for liberalism in Islam. They emphasized on an egalitarian society based on universal love and brotherhood. Now, these two traditions actually reached out to the masses. The Bhakti saints transformed Hinduism by introducing devotion or bhakti as a means to attain God. They rejected the elaborate ceremonies and sacrifices needed in the way to achieve the Almighty. For the Bhakti movement and the Sufi movement, the caste has no meaning. In fact, all human beings are equal. The Sufi and the Bhakti saints thus played an important role in bringing the Muslims and Hindus together. They used local language to make religion more popular and meaningful to the common people. Next, we come to confluence of Bhakti and Sufi. The importance of the Bhakti and Sufi saints lies in the new atmosphere created by them, which continued to affect the socio-religious and political life of India in later centuries. They emphasized on morality, simplicity, and pure thinking. They attempted to define the social and religious values. The principle of social equality ensured that everybody was treated alike. They reached out to the poor and marginalized who were always stigmatized and suffered from social exclusion. Let us now conclude the syncretic tradition with an idea of how it helped in the development of modern Indian culture. The inception of Bhakti movement and the onslaught of Islam were curiously instantaneous in the northern and the non-western part of India in the 14th century. They blended together. It would be wrong to assume that they flourished as counter movements, rather they were complementary. In India, they became the stimulating meeting point of two groups, the Sufis being the rebel saint points against Orthodox Islam, and the Hindu saints, the Bhaktas, similarly were against the Brahminical domination. The Sufis absorbed the Bhaktas' tradition of singing hymns, that is bhajans, kirtans, and repeating them in the name of Lord, which was Nam Japna. as a means of devotion and initiated Sufi poetry in the Qawwali form. Sufism presents a unique combination of Nirguna ideology and Saguna kirtans and bhajans. Among the Sufi orders, the Chistis, the Suravardis, the Firdausis became very popular, and they came to play a very, very important role. Simultaneously, the verses of Nanak and Kabir appeal to the common people, and they may be regarded as the harbinger of Hindu-Muslim unity. Summing up our today's discussion, we found that the basic idea behind syncretism is the confluence of various religions and cultures. Each religion and cultural tradition shape the beliefs of the other one. The essence of syncretism lies in the acceptance of a common philosophical thread that unites diverse faiths, traditions, and cultures. Secondly, we learnt that in an age of inequalities, how the Bhakti and the Sufi movement preached equality, how they appealed to the poor and the marginalized and showed that everybody can attain growth through the same path. Thus, the Sufi and the Bhakti movement played an extremely significant role in creating unity among the Hindus and Muslims. Thank you.